It's Monday and time for the Back to Business podcast, featuring Calgary's industry leaders. Welcome today's show host, Kim Hayden.
Can we really future-proof our youth? Our students that right now the world is a little uncertain on what's going to be there 10 years from now. Well, our guest today, D'Andre Wilson-Ihejirika, is here from the Calgary Economic Development in her capacity of bringing those students together with the businesses so that they can learn all the soft skills, the people skills, those intricate skills that maybe can't be learned in a classroom. So stick around, and if you're a small business, you're gonna want to listen in, because guess what? There's all sorts of programs that we can all work on together. But first, our land acknowledgement.
In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Ga'aina, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the E'ahe Nakota Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta.
Alrighty, welcome to the show, D'Andre. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing better now that you're here. I am excited to meet you. I was said to you before you came in, or when you came in, folks, when you watch this, you have to go and check out D'Andre's headshot. She has a smile that it's contagious. Have you ever heard anybody say that to you?
I've had a couple of people say that I have an infectious smile.
Absolutely. And it comes all the way through. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So before we dive into what you do, I would love to get a little bit of kind of that background as to who is D'Andre.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess a little bit about me. I was actually born and raised in the Bahamas. So I'm from the Caribbean. Yes.
Nice.
And I moved to Canada to study chemical engineering. So I'm an engineer by background. And then got a job out here in the oil industry. Actually worked up in Fort McMurray for quite a number of years. Actually, that's where all three of my children were born, in Fort McMurray. So I did that for quite a while. But while I was up there, I got involved in engineering education and engineering outreach. And I actually started a nonprofit that was focused on trying to encourage folks to consider engineering and other STEM fields, science and technology, engineering, math sort of fields. And so that's what kind of pivoted me into more of the education space where I am now. And so I took a role with a post-secondary institution after I decided to leave oil and gas. Then I worked for a nonprofit building out upskilling and reskilling programs that were focused on underrepresented groups in technology and innovation, before now taking, I guess, the role that I have now, which is with Calgary Economic Development as the Executive Director of Work Integrated Learning there.
Well, and that's quite a great role, because Calgary, Alberta is doing crazy cool things.
Yes.
Crazy cool things. So walk us through what you do within your role, because I know that COVID has caused a lot of gap within people's hands-on learning and mentorship. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that you're really working to bridge that gap in, because there's nothing that will ever replace good mentorship.
Completely
right?
Agree.
So tell us what you're doing within your capacity at the CED.
Yeah, so really my role is to try and support businesses, especially small businesses and also nonprofits, in understanding how they can engage in work integrated learning. And so for those who aren't familiar with what work integrated learning is, it really is about that hands-on experiential learning and really allowing students to get access to work opportunities and placements while they're still in their degrees that align back to their fields of study. And so a big part of what my role is with Calgary Economic Development is trying to create community capacity for this. So instead of a small business trying to work with each post-secondary institution, so try to go to UCalgary, SAIT, O Valley, like go to all of them and figure out what's going on there, they can come to us and we help them understand, okay, this is what the landscape looks like. These are the different opportunities that you can work with to support your business and get them connected in. And so we're working really closely with the different post-secondary institutions to make that happen.
There's summer work programs. So walk me through a lot of small businesses almost work in a silo position, right? They're so busy working in their business. They have a challenge of actually, growing the business. And I know that tapping into young talent or fresh eyes could be a real asset. What are some of the ways that they can come and work with you? What are some of the things that they should be looking? What are some of those hidden gem opportunities that somebody who's working in a silo, 12 hours a day on building their small business, maybe are unaware of?
Yeah, that's an amazing question, because that's something that we get all the time when we start doing these educational workshops and things like that with small businesses. Their faces light up. They're like, oh, we did not know that we could do that. Oh my goodness. And so really, the idea of me and my team at Calgary Economic Development, you can come to us and just ask us your questions. And we can help you understand what you don't know. One of the biggest things that we see, or, that lights up the face of a small business is, you could hire a student to help you with marketing. Like, you're usually to your exact point, in the trenches of your small business, just keeping the operations going, that you don't have the time to actually market and expand. Well, actually, you can hire a student that can help you do that. They can manage your socials. They can put together a marketing plan for you. They can help you understand some of those different marketing channels that you might not have had the time to even think about. So that's really a good hidden gem that we see for a lot of small businesses, where they can really easily get a student to come in. We see support even just for administrative tasks, being able to bring in a student. There's a couple of different programs that actually help to train students to be administrative professionals. So to be able to help with, basic bookkeeping or record keeping, organizing their documents and things like that, even helping with scheduling meetings. Like, these are important things that businesses need to operate, and opportunities for those students to grow in their careers as administrative professionals. So that's another one that, again, businesses are like, oh wait, what? I can get a student to do that for me? That would be amazing, because I'm spending 2/3 of my time just scheduling meetings. Actually, you can get a student to support you with that. We see even data. We have different programs that we work with across the city that have students that are doing data analytics, data analysis, and those sorts of roles that you can come in and get your business, again, set up for scale and success. To understand, you might be collecting all this data, whether it's from surveying or from your social media or different areas of your business, or even just from your bookkeeping and accounting and things like that, or from your CRM platform, let's just say, but you're not doing anything with it. There's so much insights that you can gain from it. You can bring in a student that can actually help you analyze that data and look into that data. So there's actually tons of different opportunities for folks. We were chatting about SAIT earlier. SAIT has, their hospitality program. If you're a business that maybe wants to do different events that can help promote your business or get your word out there, you can bring on a SAIT student to help you with that and help coordinate an event for you. So there's so many different opportunities for that. And I can go on and on, to be honest.
And I love this, because I think this is something that we don't think about, is future talent, right? We think about, everybody talks about retaining talent, but we don't talk about future talent. Now, my understanding is the province of Alberta has different summer work programs where they will help, the province will actually through, I'm not sure how it works, maybe you would know better, but where for small businesses or businesses, they help offset some of the costs. So these students are earning an income, but it's somewhat supplemented by the government.
Correct.
So is that how does a small business access that?
And that's another really great service that me and my team provides. You can come to us and actually just ask that exact question, because how it works right now is the provincial government works with different subsidy partners. And so depending on which sector you're in, there might be one of those partners that might work better for you, or depending on the type of role that you want a student to come in and do, you might have, a different partner that might work best for you. So you can come to us and we can actually help you navigate that. And we can put you in touch with, because we work closely with all of those funding delivery partners, both at actually the provincial level as well as at the federal level, because there's a similar program at the federal level as well. And you can actually stack the two if you need to. So you can get subsidy.
Really?
Yes, you can get subsidy from federal as well as subsidy from provincial and stack them so that you can get, even more of it covered. And you might only need to cover maybe about 25% of what the student cost is if you're able to do that. So we actually help you navigate how you might be able to do that depending on, again, the sector that your company is in, as well as the type of role that you're trying to hire a student for. So there's opportunities for that.
Amazing. And like I said, a lot of businesses are so busy, especially with the last 6 years have been so disruptive for businesses, right? So when we look COVID, we all had to rethink. I had to learn how to use Google Docs. I had never used Google Docs. And now I run my entire program on Google Office.
Yep.
We had to rethink how we meet people.
Yep.
And now we're rethinking, like you said, future-proof. How do we future-proof in a very uncertain future? What are some things that you are seeing around that future-proof? What are some of the things that you guys strive to do or strive to share around that concept?
Yeah, and again, I think as we were chatting, about a little bit before, off the recording, those people skills are going to continue to be very, very important. And so that's one of the things too, when you think about bringing on a student into your workplace, it's really also making sure that they are developing those people skills that are going to be future proof. Because when you get a student into that sort of hands-on, work integrated learning environment, they're forced to do that level of critical thinking, adapting, being agile for your small business while they're in that role, which will help them as we look to this uncertain future. As much as I love post-secondary, I'm currently doing my PhD, so I enjoy academia. There's only so much you can learn when you're just in the classroom. Yep. And so when we think about wanting to future-proof, our economy and our workforce, we have to make sure that we're getting those students out there. And to your exact point too, as much as this past 6 years or so has been, challenging for businesses, it's also been challenging for young people too, right? Because they have been more siloed. They've been having to work remotely. They haven't had that same level of interaction. And we actually see it in a lot of studies where their communication has started to slip. Some of them don't understand how to, make a phone call and respond to an email in a way that's productive, and making sure that they can build those communication skills, build those critical thinking skills are so important for future proofing, our economy and workforce.
And future proofing that individual.
Exactly.
Right? Because these are skill sets that, they're transferable.
Exactly.
Right? Soft skills. Soft skills is what we're talking about. And I noticed pre-COVID, I think around about 2015, 2017, we started seeing soft skills as a university course. Mm-hmm. And that, coming back around, that is what has had me. I don't know how anybody got a hairdressing license and think about this during COVID. It's like, how do you do hair virtually, right? Yes. How do you clean somebody's teeth virtually? How do you, negotiate for better opportunities, better salary, better anything if you don't have those soft skills? Yes. What are some of the things that you're looking from your partners on the business side? So when they open up their arms and they say, yes, we're going to be a mentorship and a nurture space for these young professionals to become future-proof. What are you looking for from those partners, from those businesses?
I think a big part of it is helping them to understand, as much as you can bring on a student that will help your business and build capacity in your business, your wording is exactly right. There's still that mentorship component that they need to be willing to commit to. Because it's still a learning opportunity for the student, right? As much as that student's going to come in and provide value to your business, whether it's through marketing, whether it's through data analysis, whether it's through event coordination, whatever it is, they're still going to need some of that oversight and guidance because, again, they are looking to understand how they can future-proof their skills. How does this work in the quote-unquote real world? And so they need someone that, has some level of time that can oversee and support them. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we make sure to communicate to folks, especially small businesses that, can sometimes be crunched on time, is that if you want to get sort of a return on your investment here with the student, you have to make sure that you can provide some of that time, or someone in your team can provide some of that time to oversee and mentor them. But outside of that, we're really just looking for them to be able to articulate sort of a clear goal and a vision for what, that they would want that student to do in the role coming in with them. So that's really the main two criteria that we have for these small businesses. Really, we're trying to make it as easy as we can for them, to give them the supports that we need. One of the big things that me and my team have been trying to do is actually to build out a resource hub for these small businesses. So if you've never onboarded a student before, we can actually give you an onboarding plan that will make it really easy for you. Yeah, exactly. And we're building these out in collaboration with the post-secondary institution. So it's really taking into account what they've seen as best practice, as well as what we've heard from business as well. So those are some of the things we're doing to make it really easy. So there's not a huge ask from the businesses. It's really just, can you provide time to mentor?
Yeah.
And can you provide a scope of work for what you want that student to do?
Well, and I think the challenge is those who do, right? They're out there doing, and there is one of the things that I found very fascinating is I had never really been privy to the C-suite or academia space. I've always been in the sales and entrepreneur vertical.
Yeah.
So for my opportunity of coming here to the Calgary Petroleum Club has opened up that it seems that there's these silos within all industries, right? And what I'm finding is we're starting to see, oh, wait, yes, I'm over here in C-suite, but we need the entrepreneurs. And yes, I'm an entrepreneur, but maybe I need to lean into the academia. And that's where I'm seeing, your expertise is kind of bridging the language gap that we have. I love, so for those of you who may not be aware, the Calgary is crushing it. Alberta is crushing it. What is going on in this province, in this city? Where did Platform Calgary come from? It sprung up in the middle of COVID, and it's one of the coolest buildings, but it's the initiative within it.
Yes.
And, Alberta innovates, getting these small businesses. Now, imagine if we could take these startups, these initiative startups, and pair them with the launching student.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, wow. I'm seeing a whole, this is just, I've got goosebumps because we all tend, when we get a passion and we want to work on something, we tend to work very much in a silo. And we don't realize that there's people out there that could help make it easier to move forward, to scale. Scaling's very hard. And, if you're a small business owner and you're listening to this, yeah, I know scaling's really hard. The reality is only 9% of businesses ever cross over into that seven-figure realm. So it is a constant work in progress. And if we're learning from the business perspective, what an opportunity to share that through sponsorship or mentorship and a student. What are some of the things that you see coming up on the horizon for the students? We've talked about the businesses, and I'd like to talk about young professionals. We're talking about the under 30 crowd who have gone through, so actually it's probably the under 26 crowd. And so they've spent, a lot of these young professionals did not get a graduation ceremony due to COVID. Yeah. They did not get in classroom training or education. So you're absolutely right. They have been siloed. So maybe those soft skills are slipping, or maybe they weren't ever put in place. What are some of the things these young professionals can do beyond the program to start networking out or start learning? Where can they go? What can they do?
Yeah, and I think that's a really great point. And, I love that you brought up Platform, because, again, there's so much amazing work happening there, and we've been working closely with them too. Actually, we just hosted an event there about a month ago that was really talking about, how can you access talent? How can you access funding? And so we were able to engage with a number of the different entrepreneurs there. But to your point, there's a lot of these opportunities for young people if they want to get into this entrepreneurial space, whether it's with platform, Innovate Calgary is another really great resource for them to be able to tap into. And as you said, there are folks like, Alberta Innovates, Prairies Can, that are really investing in, young people wanting to kind of pursue entrepreneurial ventures, because this is what we know. To your exact point, the majority of our businesses are small businesses. And that's how we keep, this economic engine going, is through small businesses, largely. And so there's a lot of opportunity now for funding to help to support young people if they want to consider going down that path. And there's a lot of these resources that they can now engage if they want to consider that, and to go into an incubator type of program and receive mentorship from more seasoned entrepreneurs, as you said. So I think that's a really great opportunity for young professionals, as well. Again, I'm an advocate for learning, and so that's always something that I think is, if you're in the right space and time of life to be able to do that, but to go back either to get another degree, or there's a number of these upskilling programs across the city now that really you can look into to kind of both build your tech skills or like technical skills, but also those soft skills. Like there's a lot of really great opportunities, to do that. Maybe name drop a couple, but, Inception U is a great, upskilling, reskilling organization, Tacit Edge. So there's quite a number of them, again, that have received funding from some of these different partners to be able to offer these opportunities, especially for young people who maybe aren't sure of where they're at in their career and might need a little bit more guidance and, a little bit more, hands-on training that they might not have been able to get during their, initial degrees due to COVID. So I think those are a lot of really great opportunities. But even outside of that, as you mentioned before, Calgary is a hugely vibrant city. There's so many opportunities to network with folks, just to go out to these different events that are happening. Again, I'll reference Platform as a really great one. But, for example, I'm a member of a community called Toast, which is Women in Tech. And they do, regular meetups, but depending on which field you're interested in, there's, energy focused groups, there's agriculture focused. So there's lots of different ways that you can go and meet and network. So definitely would recommend that as well for young folks.
You seem as if you are a natural at speaking and educating. So being able to take the podium. And yet we know statistically people would prefer to be in the coffin than give the eulogy. Young people. So you said Toast, and it got me thinking about Toastmasters.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. What are some things that you think the young people can do to sharpen their skills outside of the classroom that will help them hold their ground? Because it's easy to get railroaded. Mm-hmm. It's easy to get railroaded. I'm a mother of 3. My baby being 22, one of the people that did not get a high school graduation and mm-hmm. spent, so I'm watching her kind of reemerge now. Yeah. And, what are some of not everybody is what we would consider an extrovert, and not everyone has all of these. What are some things that you see in and around Calgary? So obviously, if you have a membership, young professional memberships are yep. cheap or free in almost every professional setting in Calgary.
Yes.
What are some other things that young professionals can do to level up?
I'm also a huge advocate for volunteering. We have a huge nonprofit community here. One of our partners with Talented YYC at Calgary Economic Development is the Calgary Chamber of Voluntary Organizations, actually. And there's so many opportunities for young people to volunteer. And the nice thing about volunteering, too, is it's almost a safe space, right? It's a really safe space for you to be able to practice and hone your leadership skills while also getting the support from, either, a network of other volunteers that you're volunteering alongside, or from the nonprofit themselves. So I definitely would advocate for that. And to your exact point, there's so many different nonprofits. Depending on the area that you're interested in, you can find a nonprofit that's related to that field. Again, can list them all if you want to go into events, if you want to go into like food and nutrition, if you want to go into, you know, science, if you want to go into tech, if you want to go into agriculture, there's so many different.
And Access Connects has done a really good job of bringing a lot of those different organizations together. So if you go on the Access Connects website, you'll see multitude of these nonprofit organizations and event groups. But I love the fact that you brought up volunteering. Volunteering is, I believe, a critical piece to performance, to understanding, to growth, to networking. And, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, you shouldn't look at, you know, your volunteer work as a networking opportunity. But the thing is, you're now in a group of individuals that are truly like-minded and like-hearted.
Yes.
Right? What are some of the biggest challenges you think are facing our young people aside from soft skills?
Yeah, I think, you know, the soft skills are a bigger one too, but, you know, the shifting in our economy and, you know, even the way we work as well, right? And these generational differences, I think, are also a bit of a challenge for young people to, obviously here in Calgary, historically, we've been, you know, focused on oil and gas, you know, Petroleum Club. It will continue to be a big part of our industry, but we're looking at it through different lenses now. And so where does a young person see themselves going into a career if they're maybe considering something that's, you know, in petroleum or supporting it? You know, there are these different aspects of, you know, decarbonization and things like that. And, you know, we talked a little bit about automation and AI. Where does that fit into it? And so just being able to navigate some of these shifts in these roles that are shifting so much more quickly now as well. I think that's, you know, a bit of a challenge for young people. And then, you know, when we go back to COVID and the way that we work, COVID forced us to go completely, you know, a virtual workforce. And now coming out of COVID, we're going back to some of this in-person, hybrid, and where a young person might have been, you know, become fully accustomed to that virtual, but recognizing that the importance of this in-person interaction, where do they see themselves in this more hybrid environment? And how do we also, I guess, communicate with, you know, sort of the boomer generation that there needs to be that balance? So I think that that's something that young people are just trying to navigate as well, right? Like, how do they find their place in this new sort of economy and way we work, while also being able to relate back with some of the older generations?
Yeah, because I don't think the world has been in a transitional point like this since the railways, since the automation of you know, automobiles. And I mean, I think that we are in a time frame that, you know, we don't know what the future is going to bring. I do not believe it's going to be all doom and gloom and there's all this you know, we go, oh, the utopian. I do think, though, that we're going to have reallocation. So I think a lot of these students will end up being side by side with some of the boomers,
exactly.
and re-education, because there is a new AI for radiology that reads, you know, these tests at a 99% accuracy. You'll still need a human being, but will you need as many?
Exactly.
So where can these radiologists, where are our challenges? Where are our shortcomings? Well, we still have seniors we have to care for. You know, there's all these different things. So I think being adaptive, the one thing I definitely can say that I've just fallen in love with Alberta's approach, Calgary's approach, is the innovation aspect.
Yes.
And we're seeing prop tech, med tech, biotech, you name it. And we've got the young people, the brains to bring it all to fruition.
I agree.
You know, D'Andre, I can't thank you enough because I've learned so much. And if you're listening to this out there, well, if you're listening, I say that every time, and you are listening. Don't mind me.
Yeah.
It's like I'm talking to my kids here, if you're listening to me. So hopefully you're listening. I myself am a small business, and just learning how I can give back, become a mentor, and be able to offset some of the tasks that that I don't need to be doing, like literally cataloging all the business cards and ensuring that everybody gets on the right newsletter list and that media component. These are all important skill sets.
Yes.
Right. And I'm super excited. I'm going to be giving you a call
Please
because
do.
we're going to find lots of places for your students and all the people that are looking to grow their soft skills and people skill sets and get a foothold in their career. Any final words that you'd like to share with us?
Just thank you so much for having me. This was a wonderful conversation. You talked about my infectious smile, but you definitely have infectious energy. It was so great to have this conversation with you. And like you said, I'm glad that you'll be reaching out. But anyone who's listening in, more than happy to have you reach out to our team. You can just email us info@talentedyyc.com, or go to the website and find information there, but we're more than happy to help answer any questions. And to your exact point, really just trying to help small businesses as well as students, come together so that we can future-proof our economy.
Thank you for joining us today on the Back to Business podcast. Be sure to visit calpeteclub.com, calpeteclub.com, to find out more about upcoming events, networking opportunities, and membership. If you are not already a valued member at the CPC, where we are proudly connecting and supporting Calgary's business leaders.